The request came at the end of a long cycle, when the human known as Ray had finally completed his work inside the orbital research station known as Arkway. He had believed the cycle would end quietly. He would file his reports, secure the instruments, and retreat to his small habitation pod. Instead, he found someone waiting in the corridor outside. She stood near the viewport, where the glow of the nearby nebula poured in like soft paint across her silver skin. Her name was Lyra, a visitor from a world that had only recently opened steady relations with Earth. She was taller than Ray by a head, with sweeping ridges behind her jaw that rose and fell with her breath. Her eyes glimmered like tiny shards of prism light, changing color depending on the angle of the illumination. She was a diplomat, a scholar, and a traveler who had chosen Arkway as the center of her research. For weeks, she had crossed paths with Ray during shift transitions. She always greeted him politely, always gave a small tilt of her head that her kind used instead of a smile. Ray had grown used to her presence, yet he never expected what she said no. Lyra stood firm as if her decision had been shaped long before she voiced it. She addressed him with calm clarity. "Ray, I wish to request authorization to reside in your living unit. I desire company." Ray blinked at her. He had heard many unusual things during his time in space, but this caught him off guard. Arkway was a large installation. Her people had their own wing. She had her own quarters, which were spacious and adorned with comforts specific to her species. Yet she sought his considerably smaller human unit. "Are you certain?" he asked. "I am." She folded her hands before her in a gesture of earnest intention. "I have observed your conduct. It aligns well with the atmosphere I seek. Your presence is steady. You invite ease. I believe it would benefit us both." Ray needed several breaths to process this. Lyra was not impulsive. Her people valued deliberation above everything. If she came to him with such a request, she must have considered it for a long time. "May I ask why me?" Ray said. She tilted her head toward the nebula. The soft glow reflected along her ridges like gentle fire. "Because you do not overwhelm the air around you. Many beings carry their presence in loud ways. You do not. You speak when needed. You listen when required. You move with purpose, but without unnecessary force. I find that kind of presence peaceful." Ray felt a subtle warmth rise in his chest. It was strange hearing himself described that way, yet something about the sincerity in her voice grounded the moment. But he still struggled to imagine her in his cramped habitat. Human modules were narrow, lined with metallic surfaces and compact furniture. Would she even fit comfortably? He considered everything carefully. Lyra watched him closely, but without pressure. She simply waited. Finally, he nodded. "If sharing space helps you, then yes. You can stay." A soft light passed through her eyes, shifting to a warmer hue. "Thank you. I appreciate your willingness." And so their arrangement began. When Lyra first stepped into his quarters, she examined every detail with interest. She noted the small shelf of books Ray kept tucked under the sleeping rack. She traced the curve of the small lamp he used for reading. She knelt in front of the unit's plant module and studied the tiny green leaves that humans cultivated as a comfort from Earth. Ray cleared space for her belongings. She did not bring much. Her people preferred minimal objects. A folded garment of soft material, a small container filled with crystals from her home, a device that emitted calming resonant frequencies, and a data tablet filled with her research notes. The first night she spent in his quarters was cautious. She remained quiet, as if assessing how their rhythms might conflict. Ray sensed her uncertainty and resolved to move gently. He performed his tasks with the same routine he always used, but slower, allowing her to adapt at her own pace. Over time, they learned how to share the space. Ray discovered that Lyra rose earlier than he did. When he awoke, he often found her sitting cross-legged by the viewport with the nebula's morning glow washing over her. She created patterns on her tablet, writing with long flowing strokes. She greeted Ray without sound at first, simply tilting her head before they exchanged words. Lyra learned that Ray needed warm tea every morning before his thoughts settled. She always stepped aside to give him room at the small dispenser. When she noticed that he often forgot to refill the container of leaves, she began restocking it quietly before he woke. Ray learned that Lyra hummed when deep in thought. The sound was soft, almost indistinguishable from the faint hum of the station systems. He found it calming. They ate together in the small alcove that served as a dining space. Lyra studied human meals with curiosity. Ray always explained the ingredients. She always asked questions. She found certain flavors pleasant, especially the mild fruit paste that Earth crews often brought on long missions. He learned that she favored foods containing high trace mineral content, and the station replicated them upon request. One cycle, Ray returned to their quarters to find Lyra adjusting the arrangement of the room. She was moving his chair slightly and repositioning the small plant module. When she saw him, she stepped back. "I apologize. I should have asked." "It's all right," Ray said. "What were you trying to do?" "I noticed the movement of light across the room. The reflection enters your eyes directly when you read. I believed shifting the furniture would reduce the strain." Ray glanced at the chair. She was correct. For weeks, the light had been hitting at an angle that forced him to adjust his posture. Yet she had noticed something he had ignored. "You can move anything you need," Ray said. Her eyes shone gently. "I appreciate your trust." Their home became a place of mutual understanding. What surprised Ray most was how natural it felt. Two different species, two different histories, two different ways of thinking, yet they shared a space with growing ease. Their conversations expanded as well. Lyra asked about human customs, human myths, and human dreams. Ray asked about her people's history, their long migrations among the stars, and the harmony-based philosophy that shaped their lives. They compared the strengths and weaknesses of both species. They debated ideas about unity and difference. Sometimes these talks lasted hours. One evening, after a long work cycle, Ray found Lyra waiting for him with a quiet expression he had not seen before. She seemed uncertain, almost uneasy. "Is something wrong?" Ray asked. She hesitated. "I wish to share something with you, but I am unsure how humans receive such matters." Ray motioned for her to sit with him. "You can say anything." Lyra exhaled slowly. A soft pulse of light moved along the ridges behind her jaw. "In my culture, choosing to share space with someone carries meaning. It is more than convenience. It is a declaration that the other person brings a sense of balance." I did not say this earlier because I feared misunderstanding. Ray leaned back, absorbing the weight of her words. "So, this wasn't only about wanting company. It is about choosing with intention," Lyra said. "Your presence has shaped my days. I wish to be near it. Your actions create calm within my thoughts. I believed you deserved honesty regarding my motives." Ray felt his breath deepen. He appreciated her clarity. "Thank you for telling me. Does it trouble you?" "No, it doesn't." Lyra shifted slightly. "How do humans interpret such gestures?" "It depends on the person," Ray said. "But for me, having you here has made my days better. I didn't expect it. But it feels right." Her eyes brightened at his words. "Then I am relieved." Life continued with new comfort. As cycles passed, reports of external tensions between distant colonies reached Arkway. The crew worried, but Lyra remained composed. Ray admired her steadiness. She trusted that peace would prevail. One cycle a disruption occurred in the power grid. Emergency systems activated. Alarms echoed down the corridors. Ray hurried toward the engineering hub, but before he reached it, Lyra intercepted him. "Ray, the fault is near your sector. You should not approach alone." He shook his head. "I know that area best. I can fix it. Then I will accompany you." "Lyra, it may be dangerous." "I will still go. You share your home with me. I will share risk with you." Her resolve was firm. Ray accepted her help. Together, they reached the damaged section. Sparks danced along a conduit. Ray crouched to assess the malfunction, while Lyra watched the surroundings. Her people had heightened senses. She could detect shifts in radiation and subtle atmospheric changes long before humans could. "There is instability rising," Lyra warned. "Complete your repair swiftly." Ray worked with focused precision. With Lyra guarding him, he sealed the breach just as the reading stabilized. When they returned to their quarters, Ray sat heavily on the edge of his bunk. Lyra stood near him, watching quietly. "You saved me in there," Ray said. She tilted her head. "We protect what we value." The word struck him deeply. Their shared life grew even more intertwined. Ray discovered that Lyra enjoyed reading human literature. She often borrowed his books and returned them with thoughtful observations written on her tablet. She never intruded on his personal belongings, but she asked questions that carried genuine curiosity. Lyra discovered that Ray had a talent for simple repairs. She often watched him working with tools and occasionally attempted to copy him, though her hands were shaped differently. Ray guided her patiently. She learned surprisingly fast. One cycle, Arque Hosea.